Welcome to Bon Jovi Discussions. Today I have my friend Kara. How are you?
Okay,
Good to see you.
I'm
I want
freezing to death, but
no, it's tonight it's supposed to be in the negatives, and tomorrow it's supposed to be in the low digits, and they just canceled my son's school. Well, at least a 2 hour delay. So, yeah,
I
where are
think
you?
it's probably going to end up canceled because that's what they did here to Warren. And
Yeah,
2 hours later, I got home at 7 o'clock last night. By the time I got home, they had canceled school.
wow. Yeah, I miss those days, snow days. But
But they don't really have snow days anymore anyway.
that's true. Yeah. But before we get started, Kara, I want to I just want to give you a big thank you because you are like one of the biggest supporters of the podcast. You are always the first one to share excitement about it. You're always the first one to watch the video, comment on stuff, and just
It's on too early in the morning and I'm still sleeping most of the time.
you are even watching it before I even promote it on social media. So I just wanted to say thank you for, taking the time to
Thank
always,
you.
you've supported this podcast since day one, 5 years ago. So I just want to say thank you.
It's been 5 years.
Yeah, it'll be it'll be 5 years in March. So I guess I jumped the gun a little bit, but I have good faith it'll still be running in 2 months. So
You
I
know what?
plan
I
I'll
think because it's Bon Jovi and people want to know what's going on, and
yeah.
you don't always know what's going on, but you have a good head for it,
Yeah.
you'll be okay.
The beauty of this podcast is just having two fans, Bon Jovi fans, love this band and share their excitement about it. And I knew you'd be a great guest for the podcast. So before we get into our fun topic, I want to ask you, how did you become a Bon Jovi fan?
Um, my sister's friend at the time, and they're still friends today. They don't see much of each other anymore. Daisy's in Texas. She lives in California. They were
Okay.
watching MTV when MTV was normal.
Normal. Yeah. What year was this then?
About 83, 84, and Bon Jovi was just starting to come
J-
out.
wow. Okay.
That was his first record, but I didn't really pick it up until 86 when I was 13 and 14
Okay. So what's your
because I didn't quite get the first two records because I was too young
okay?
and
But
I
then
was just starting. I was just about in that age group where you start listening to music when you're 13, 14, 15.
sure.
When you start going to school dances and the first song you hear is maybe a Bon Jovi or Aerosmith or those were a couple of the groups out.
Yeah, those must have been the days. And you know what, Kara? I am so jealous of you because you got to see the band right from the beginning. For me, I was born in 92 and became a fan in 2000, but like so I just lived with so much envy for those that got to be there from the beginning and have seen this band grow from, 83 to now. So that must be pretty cool.
Well, I think I was 10, 11, 12, and 83, 84, 85. I wasn't
Okay.
really paying much attention to music until I got into middle school.
Wow.
At that point, see, let me tell you, middle school wasn't middle school until they put sixth grade in it. I went to
Yeah.
junior high, and that's where I started seeing more videos, and I was starting to get into MTV.
Wow. Yeah, back when MTV played music.
Yeah, that's why I said the golden age of MTV. Not
It's not
this.
the same now. You know what's funny, Kara? When I used to watch VH1, and I remember when there was a top 20 countdown
I
video,
remember those top 20 countdowns.
and you would go online, you could go on VH1 once a day, and you could vote which song you wanted to be number
Yeah,
one. And I remember all the time, every time Bon Jovi had a video out, I'd get on VH1 website and put a bunch of it. And I remember going on, I think it was every Friday, they'd
yeah.
air which videos were, the new rotation. And I was
Hmm.
fingers crossed, because they'd go from 20 to 1. and my fingers would be crossed the whole time that Bon Jovi would hit number one. And
Well, that's when the big radio shows were on, like Rick D's Top 20.
yeah,
That was a big. I remember listening to the Top 25 every weekend, or
right. Wow.
I think it was and that went off about Rick Dees is no longer alive. A few other, I think Seacrest did it for a while. Those shows went bye bye when radio went bye bye.
Yeah, it's a different era for music. That's it, definitely.
I
Oh,
hate the era because I miss listening to regular music stations.
I know. And now they play the same songs every 30 minutes, and it's just not the, I was just telling my colleague earlier, we were listening to some old school music.
Yeah,
And I was saying, I wish artists today were making the music that was made back then. Um, but
that we
anyway,
could relate to.
exactly. But
I
anyway,
can't relate to the. Okay, the only Pitbull song I've ever listened to is the one that he did with Bon Jovi.
yep.
Otherwise,
Yeah,
I don't listen to that kind of
sure.
stuff. I
Right.
did a little bit in high school. We had Color Me Bad and stuff like that.
Yeah. 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 I'm open to different things. I
I
never.
am too because my sisters are a lot younger than me and they listen
Right.
to. We had. You were too little, but the grunge was just starting when Bon Jovi came back in '93.
Yeah.
Grunge 92, 93. Grunge was real big, and then it went away. Then a couple smaller boy bands came out.
Yeah.
98. Somebody was said. I think I saw this on Instagram. They had they were naming everything that was back in the '90s, and somebody said '98 because I remember them. I never listened to them, but
But you
again,
remember them. Yeah. Anyway, Karen, let's get into because I'm really excited to talk about this. We are going to talk about now. Correct me if I'm wrong. But, this is your favorite song, "Wanted Dead or Alive," correct?
it's one of them.
It's one of them. Okay.
It's
Well,
one of
we're
many.
the one. I know sometimes it's really hard just to pick one favorite. But a little
Well,
bit of
I think I first heard "Runaway," but again, I was too little to understand the meaning of it.
sure. Yeah, and sometimes, it takes a while to really grasp, what it means to you sometimes.
Yeah, well, I knew what the meaning. He was talking about all the girls that were in Hollywood and how they were, or around New York City.
Sure. Well, let's get into Wanted Dead or Alive. That's our topic. So just a little bit of background first. This was the third single from the band's biggest selling album, one of the biggest selling albums of all time, Thicker
Yeah,
Than Wet. It was released as a single on John's birthday, March 2nd, 1987. Um,
yes.
a little bit of background. So this song was actually written in Richie's
Yeah,
mom's
I
basement.
remember them saying that.
Yeah. Now here's a real fun story. Not many fans can say this. My friend and I, we went to New Jersey for a week when the band was there, playing at MetLife, and so we did we did all these Jovi historic sites, and my
Yeah,
friend knew the person that lived in that. They bought Richie's mom's house,
yeah,
and so we got to go to the house, and they actually took us down. They showed us Richie's bedroom. They showed us Richie's where they the laundry room where they
yeah,
wrote some of those
yeah. I
songs.
remember them saying something. They wrote it at,
Yeah,
in his laundry room. That's a
yeah,
weird place to write a song, but
yeah.
hey, if it
So
works for them.
yeah, so the reason I'm sharing this story is not to gloat or anything like that, but the point of the
Oh
story
no,
was that when I saw the laundry room, it was serious. Like you were lucky to fit two people in, and so it's kind of
it's
weird.
like a match. It's like the houses they build in California. They're like,
Right.
yeah, they're really small.
Yeah.
They're
But
1,400 square feet, and you don't know how a family lived in them.
yeah, but to think that, some of the biggest rock songs of all time have come from that little room.
Yeah, when they
So
were talking to each other.
right. And so another thing about the title Wanted Dead or Alive, that was initially one of the earliest concept titles for Slippery When Wet. It was originally going to be called Wanted Dead or Alive, and Mark Weiss, who's one of the greatest rock photographers of all time, he told the story that early on when Slippery When Wet was being recorded, that the initial concept was going to be called Wanted Dead or Alive, and they actually did a photo shoot. I think it was in Vancouver, where they
Yeah, this in Vancouver, British Columbia.
right. And they're all in, in beards and stuff. And long story short, the record company said no. And so obviously we know what it became as Slippery When Wet.
Well, I think there was another title in there too somewhere.
Yeah, there was different titles, but one it was one of the big ones, and then Slippery. Um, so this song was inspired by, well, so John actually wrote this. He said in some interviews that he wrote this during the 7800 tour when they were on a tour bus. He woke up one morning and wrote it. And obviously the song is pretty much it's like a homage to the old cowboy life, but in a band's focus. Uh,
Hmm.
you
Yeah.
know, like there's a line in there on the steel horse I ride. A lot of people thought that he was talking about riding a horse. It's actually about the tour bus.
Ooh.
But
Or his motorcycle, which he did take with his wife across the country.
yeah, exactly.
And that spawned another song.
Yeah, and later on he also said that the inspiration for the song also came from Bob Seger's "Turn the Page," which is pretty cool. And we
Oh,
know
I
that the
didn't know
band
that
has,
part.
yeah, and we know the band has covered that song. And this is a big notation as well. This is what the band calls their national anthem. So sometimes during concerts, John will say, please rise for our playing of the national anthem.
Yeah.
So,
I've been to one concert, and that was it. Where you went to a concert last year, and that was the concert I did. We, my girlfriend doesn't understand. You have to arrive down in Chicago 3 hours before a concert because you want to be able to possibly get a chance to meet the band.
right,
Or you want to get a decent parking spot and you don't want to sit in traffic for
right,
3 hours.
yep, exactly, yep,
And we went to Soldier Field. She didn't understand the reason you leave at 1 o'clock for a 7 o'clock concert or an 8 o'clock concert is because going between here and Chicago, it's not going to take you 30 minutes when there's all sorts of closers. And at the time, there was another Plant Park was having their thing, and there were other concerts in the town, and
yeah.
a lot of closed streets. And she's not a good city driver.
My advice is go there first thing in the morning and have a fun day in the area. That's
Yeah.
get some good food. But
Oh, I
anyway,
know, but now we can't afford to do that because it's too expensive.
right. So the song also peaked. I think it was number seven. I think it climbed as
Yes.
high as number seven on the Billboard 100.
Yep.
Now there's been actually I want to back up for a second. I think one of the greatest parts about this song is Richie Sambora. Um,
Yeah.
with because I think he recorded it on a 12 string Ovation guitar, which we saw a lot of in the 80s. And
Oh, yeah.
then
I think my dad had a 12 string at one point.
yeah, which are beautiful guitars. And
Yeah.
so he plays that up until the guitar solo, and then obviously he has that iconic guitar solo
That
that
will net
is electric.
guitar.
Yeah, the electric guitar.
Yeah.
So, from a rock and roll song perspective, it's pretty cool to have a 12 string acoustic and then it turns into an electric for the rest of the song after the
I
solo.
love I love that double neck acoustic that double neck guitar.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And then it's also been this song has also been the theme song for Deadliest Catch. Do you know that?
Oh, I didn't think yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I
I
don't watch
remember
that, but
yeah, I remember like back in like I think '08 when the show came out, my friends told me because they knew how big of a Bon Jovi fan I was, but I never watched the show.
I
They're like,
think
yeah,
it
I think
ended
that
up in a movie or two too.
yeah, there's a bunch of movies. I know Wild Hogs. It's been in a bunch of movies. Yeah.
I think
Um,
it was also in I haven't seen it in a while. Maybe it, part of Young Guns too.
I don't think it was in Young Guns too. The story for that I think was Emilio Estevez approached John to use Wanted Dead or Alive,
Yeah,
but John said, "I'd rather write you a new song," which became Blaze of Glory, then it became a soundtrack. But
yeah,
honestly,
that the Blaze of Glory and
yeah,
five other soundtrack songs that I can name and
sure,
probably sing bits and pieces of.
yeah,
That's what I do. I
yep,
start a song and I don't remember a line or two or three,
yeah,
or I
yeah,
skip to a different song.
right. Um, and then another thing that I love about this song so much is the different versions that we've got. Obviously, we got the One Wild Night 2001 edition that helped to promote the album, the One Wild Night album. And then my favorite, now a lot of people are gonna say, Jerry, you are effing nuts. The 2003 This Left Feels Right version is I would take This Left Feels Right version over the Slippery When Wet version any day. I love the vibe.
I agree. I haven't heard that version.
You
I've
haven't?
heard I've heard the I've seen one of it. I think he does an extended version of that in a concert.
Right. So, Kara, you have a big responsibility after we end this podcast. You have to go listen to the Wanted Dead or Live version on This Left Feels Right. Listen to that entire album. I love it. It's not a fan favorite, but it's one of my favorite albums. And
Actually, one of my favorite albums wasn't the 2021 because that was kind of dark.
yeah, um, but yeah, check
This
this.
last one was good,
Mm-hmm.
and the 2013 one was good. I was disappointed that Richie left because that's what I
Yeah,
wanted to see Richie, but
sure.
a fella's a good guitarist too, so
Yeah,
I give him kudos for jumping in
yeah.
when John needed him.
And you know what? Since you mentioned Richie's departure, I want to mention one thing that's really special about this song, especially live. This was always one of those, obviously the band song, but there was a
Mm-hmm.
real magic between John and Richie, especially at the end of the performance when they would both raise their guitars side by side. And, you know, I personally love everything that's come out after 2013. I love Phil X. I love what he brings to the band and stuff.
It brings a different energy. I
Right.
think the energy when Richie was kind of slowly running out.
Sure. Yeah. So,
He,
you know, I
that's
so
the only time I've seen him them perform. But that
Mhm.
was the guitarist I saw perform in that concert was Phil X
Sure. Yeah.
at
So,
Soldier Field. Which they're
yeah.
trying to
Yeah.
Bears want to move.
Yeah. So after 2013, obviously it was kind of different, seeing Wanted Dead or Alive. There's certain songs that just aren't right to see live. Kind of like, Diamond Ring because that's a John Ritchie song.
Mm,
And
yeah,
Wanted is kind of in there for me. I remember on the 22 tour, they didn't play Wanted for one night out of what was it, 15 shows, I think. I'm looking at the
yeah,
poster
they did
here.
15 shows
Yeah, the one night they didn't do Wanted, I remember there was like this big social media outburst, and everyone was like, "Why didn't they play Wanted and stuff?" And like,
because I think they got tired of playing it.
yeah, yeah. Before I get we get into more of the song, why is this one of your favorites?
Um, it mentions his fan base, which is
Yeah,
huge.
yep, yep, absolutely. And,
The 100,000 fans. I think he's got more than 100,000 fans.
oh,
A
I think
hundred
so
thousand
too.
fans can't be wrong.
Yeah, I think he's got way more than
I
that.
caught on to that one real quick.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, well, let's talk about the music video because I think the music video really adds. So, music video sometimes really adds an extra special layer to the song and takes the song to a new level. And I think Wanted, the music video, which was directed by Wayne Asham, I think
Which
he
was
really,
partly shot here in Chicago at Circle Campus, which is UIC. They
yeah,
call it Circle Campus because it's in a circle. They
sure.
don't like that connotation, but that's what we call it.
Hey, that's okay. Yeah, so like you said, some of it was filmed in Chicago, and I think there are like five other, Detroit, Pittsburgh, Maryland. I can't think of the other cities.
I think they said, yeah, something like that.
Yeah. But so the music video that Wayne Ashton captured was so this was
The
directed, I think it's
very beginning of the video
Yeah. Yeah.
where
So
the
the
fans took over and they didn't want the same old video.
Yeah. Well, that was Bad Medicine, though. That was Bad
Oh, that was
Medicine.
Bad Medicine.
Yeah. So with Wanted, Wayne Asham, I think the video was filmed in the very early stages of Slippery. I think they were just headlining, I think.
Yeah,
And it was the very first leg of their headlining tour. And so so in the music video, you see, the lifestyle of a rock and roll band, city to city, show to show. And
yeah,
so what Wayne Asham captured was the tiredness, the I'm so beat up vibe. But what's funny though is that Wayne Asham actually captured that like after shows because John obviously the band got burnt out at the end of the Slippery tour, but John actually said during the time of that video they were actually all in really good spirits and just really enjoying the ride. They weren't burnt out. So it's kind of interesting to see how Wayne Asham still captured that vibe to match the tone of the song. I thought that was pretty cool.
I think Bad Medicine was also filmed here. I can't find it online, but
Yeah, I'm not sure where that one was filmed. But yeah, that's
no,
pretty
that was
cool.
I think that was out in California somewhere.
California,
Yeah.
yeah, maybe Los Angeles. I can't think on the top of my head. It'll come to me tonight when I.
Yeah, yeah. When you're sleeping, then you. Yeah, I know. I have those.
Yeah.
When
Um,
you start to show your age when you can't remember anything,
that's okay.
and
Do
you're so tired because you have a little baby too.
Yeah, she keeps us busy and yep. Do you have a favorite lyric of the song?
Mm, not really.
Not really.
I was 13 or 14 when that song first came out. So
Sure. Mine would be it's all the same, only the names will change. Every day it seems we're wasting away. I just love those three
yeah.
lines. And I think it's such a great way to open the song and kind of really sets the message of the song, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Uh but yeah, overall
Or
it's
the end of the song where he says, "I don't remember all the lyrics." So
yeah, you know,
see, I'm a little bit older than you, so my brain is shot.
that's okay. That's okay. I'm glad you brought the ending too because that's something to talk about as well. Is I love the ending, when John and Richard kind of going back and back with each other on lines. I think Richie said, I still drive or I still ride. And then John just sings Wanted Dead or Alive. Then there's that drum build up, Dead or
Yeah.
Alive. I think that's so cool
I
the way
love
that
the
they do that.
beginning where drums come in and
Yeah, absolutely. So, but yeah, it's a great song. It's one of the greatest rock songs in rock history. Um, So, was there anything else that you wanted to say about the song?
that I don't want to see. I think they're going to try to re-record it, but then maybe fix, change. They can't re-record the song, but
Yeah,
redub the song a little bit.
it would be cool to see them re-record. I know a lot of other bands have. I know Kiss, for example, have
Oh,
they re-record, and that was pretty cool. So it's kind of cool to see
I
bands
don't think they
re-record.
can technically. They, the sound equipment has, of course, changed over the years.
Oh,
I think they will redub
cool.
some of these older songs
Yeah,
because
and
they have to get them off of tapes.
yeah, and you actually brought up a good point, Kara. On So if anybody has Apple Music, listen to Slippery on Dolby. It is incredible, especially Wanted. Like it takes Wanted to another level. And if you have a really good sound system, you'll be like blown away by how Wanted sounds. It's awesome.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
my TV's already in Dolby. That's
Oh,
how the
nice.
TVs come. I've got a nice updated TV. I may have to update it a little bit more, but we'll wait and see what the next update is to the. Because this is like a 4-year-old TV, so it's
Sure.
probably the next big thing is 8K, but I don't think
Cue that. Yeah.
it's too early
Yeah.
for that, and it's
Sure.
too expensive.
Yeah. Anyway, Kara, stay on. I'm gonna end the recording, but I want to say thank you for, taking the time to always support this podcast. Every time there's a new episode, you're so supportive of it. And You're a great
Sometimes I
fan.
miss it in the morning because I'm working, but I'll
You,
catch it in the afternoon. Or if you're not on until late, it helps me sleep a little bit.
yeah.
If
Oh,
my
good.
head's,
It's boring.
no, what happens is I get sleepy and I can't sleep. So I listen to all these podcasters.
Yeah. I'll put on Jerry. He'll put me to sleep.
Nah,
Yeah.
it
Anyway, Karen.
depends on who you're talking. If you're talking to somebody overseas, I know they're really late or really early in the
Oh yeah.
morning.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Different. That's the hard part sometimes of this podcast. Is people don't see it is the scheduling and getting people. Someone that
Especially if
lives in
you're going over to Australia and talking to somebody,
and they're
or
14, 12.
Japan. Well,
Yep.
Australia's a little easier to understand.
Yeah. So
Australia, Europe.
yeah. So Kara, thank you again for taking the time to come on. I'm glad to have had you as a guest and just appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right. I'm gonna end the recording to stay on, okay?
Okay.